Welcome to this new course entitled Stairway to Serenity. This course is built off of the book Stairway to Serenity, which you can buy on Amazon. Robert Kremnizer is the author. He is a lawyer and he is a Jewish scholar who wrote this book. And I am going to give you this book in video format, in bite-sized pieces, chapter by chapter, contributing in the way I will express the ideas in this life-changing book if you are ready to embrace this in your life. What is this book about? Well, we are living at a very critical time. In my experience, it was around the year 2000 when the internet reached its tipping point and spilled out to the masses. Somewhere around that time, give or take a few years, and that's when our world really changed significantly, as I experienced it and as we can see as we observe society. The current era is accelerating at a very rapid pace. Things are changing and we have new tools in our hand which are coming to us at a very quick pace, not giving us the time to adjust to them and learn and understand how to deal with them. And what that has done very clearly, as many studies show, is it's brought unprecedented challenges to our current generation. People who are now 30 years old, 40 years old, my age, about 50 years old, people struggling with levels of anxiety and uncertainty, confusion, misery, all different types of emotional challenges that people were not dealing with at such a high level and such a broad, with such a broad number of people until the last 25 or so years. And many have turned to all different forms of gratification, one of them being the internet itself, or some types of substance abuse in order to escape. And these outlets have not solved anyone's problems, as anyone knows. These only aggravate the problems by giving us new problems, because escapism is never a solution to a problem. And we have something else that has shown up, and that is that the elders, the parents, look at their children who are dealing with these situations and saying, what's wrong with them? Why are they suffering from all of these different types of anxieties and emotional issues? And the irony is that their children are looking at their parents and saying, you don't seem to be much happier than we are. It's very often, it's not as if the older generation, we will say, is looking any better and as if they are any happier, that we should, the younger generation, should adopt the older generation's values. And so what we're left with is a complete generation of the elders and the youth who are experiencing some level of emptiness and disappointment. Is this your life? Where are you at in your life? Are you feeling fulfilled? Or are you feeling empty? When you wake up in the morning, are you driven? Or do you feel depleted before you even start your day? These are what many people are dealing with. And if this is what you're dealing with, you want to stay on and take this course. Because the question is this: Is there in fact a solution to these problems? Many people have decided that there isn't because they haven't found one. Can happiness be achieved in this very chaotic world where there's so much distraction and so many are unsatisfied? Is it even possible? Many people, I should say, have come to the conclusion that it's not even possible. Let me just indulge in the distractions, because that's about the best I can do. Is lasting happiness attainable? That's the question. That's the question I pose to you. Is it attainable? And even if it is attainable, for what percentage of people? If we're going to say it's for 25% of people, am I from that 25%? Maybe I'm wasting my time. I'll never be able to attain happiness anyway. Well, let me tell you something. You may suspect I'm telling you this, but I'm going to tell you this two things. I'm going to tell you that happiness is absolutely attainable. However, it requires a commitment. And if you want to achieve happiness, you have to be committed to it and you have to stick to it. Can you? You absolutely can. How difficult will that be for you? I cannot tell you. It will vary from person to person. But I will tell you this, it's worth every bit of effort that it will require from you. Because a life where we feel content and where we have meaning is a life that is pleasurable with all of its challenges. And someone who does not have happiness, they can have all of the attractions of this world, money, fame, prestige, and they will still be miserable inside. Exactly what many people are witnessing nowadays. You know, the older generation looks at their children and says, what you have took me 60 years to get. I never had that when I was your age. Why aren't you happy? Isn't that fascinating? And the children look at their elders and say, you say you're better off because you didn't have all of these things? You don't seem so happy yourself. What is the secret? And here's the thing. Throughout history, it's been a struggle for human beings to be happy. But there are tools and there is a way, and there are those few who actually remain committed to and follow the right path to achieving happiness. This path that I am going to guide you on, I will tell you from my personal experience that one thing I can say, I cannot say I'm the happiest person in the world. However, I can tell you this, as I get older, I get happier. And that tells me that I am on the right path. And I feel so blessed that that is the trajectory of my life. I try continuously to expedite it. That means to be more committed to these principles I'm going to teach you, which will then bring me to happiness at a quicker rate. But the main and first thing is to be on that path. And this path is built off of the teachings of basically two philosophical works. One is the very broad collection of philosophical works of Chabad Hasidic philosophy. And the second is writings that were written hundreds of years ago, and in a book called Duties of the Heart, where there is one chapter, which we're going to focus on in particular, from that entire book of Duties of the Heart, called Shar Habitachon, the Gate of Trust, learning how to trust. When we merge the power of trust with the philosophy of Chabad that enhances these teachings, we have principles and values that we can train ourselves to live by. And the more we become unified with those values, the more we experience happiness in our life. That is correct. We begin to discover that there are tools to overcome anxiety, to overcome uncertainty, worry, misery, and we end up continuing through life with a very different perspective. So what is the mission of this course? It is to guide you, as I guide myself, to a life of meaning and purpose, fulfillment, using these spiritual teachings. And using these spiritual teachings, we will demonstrate that true and lasting happiness is accessible not to some, but to everyone. We all have the opportunity to live a happy life. That doesn't mean our life will be easy. It doesn't mean that the red carpet will be rolled out before us. But it means that no matter where we find ourselves and what we are dealing with, we can be in a happy disposition. Join me as we go into our very first discussion.